Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our reading through the Tanak night of 22nd of January 2025. I'll be reading out of the book of Jasher, chapters 45 and 46. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, or rightly divide. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of Hope. Okay. Shalom. And welcome to this channel. Welcome to our reading through the Tanakh study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, the Psalms. We have current events, need to know information. Then we'll open it up for anybody with questions, comments, and then we'll go into our lesson, which is reading out of the book of Joshua, chapter 45 and 46. Okay, and breaking it down. Then we'll close out with our pick a scripture. Okay. Moment of silence for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee, thanking you for your mercy and your great power. And we appreciate you, O Lord, for your patience and guidance in these last days. And we thank you for awakening us to this great understanding of your word. Lord, we see your mighty hand in the world affairs and how you are constructing our people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect you greatly. Turn out that face from us, but allow us in our searching out of you to find you, O Lord, and to dwell with you. Peace be unto you. Okay, so with that being said, we'll read the Psalms. Okay. Okay, Psalms 46. God is our refuge and our strength. Okay. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, and though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah, there is a river, or the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her in that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. But he uttered his voice, and the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh all wars to cease unto the ends of the earth. He breaketh the bow. He cutteth the spear asunder. He burneth the chariots of fire. Be still and know that I am God, and I will be exalted above the heathens, and I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Okay, that was Psalm 46. Anybody got any comments on that? Anything that they heard that just stuck out? Okay. Yeah, this the song they say that supposed to identify Shakespeare handiwork, right? Go verse 3, go down to in that verse, and then you start at verse 11. verse 11 and go up. I think it's 41 words, and you get Shakespeare. So for people that don't know that, okay, so he's saying that he left his handiwork in the scriptures by doing that. But anyway, it says we see we continue talking about this, how that we as Israelites continue to go to everybody else but the Lord of hosts to deliver us. When we see who it is that's delivering us, but we never find it adequate enough to call him. We call everybody else but him. And it says in verse 1, God is our refuge and strength, the Lord of hosts, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof, there is a river. The streams whereof may make glad the city of God and a holy place, of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, and she shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. So those are 5 verses right there tell us where our help is coming from. But it seems to me, from dealing with the scriptures, that everybody forget that they choose everything else but him to deliver them in their time of trouble. Okay. Any comments? Okay. So with that being said, we go to our current events.
Now let's turn to West Asia. You know that a ceasefire is underway in Gaza. Hamas is releasing Israeli hostages. In exchange, the Israelis are releasing Palestinian prisoners. The guns have mostly fallen silent, and the world anxiously awaits the conclusion of 15 months of war. But what happens after that? What happens to war-torn Gaza, which is mostly rubble at this point? Gaza will have to be rebuilt. And that's hard to do when you have millions of displaced people all over. This ties in with a new report that is doing the rounds, the rather alarming title. Apparently, there's a plan to relocate Gazan civilians all the way to Indonesia. Here's how the story came about. There was an interview with a member of Donald Trump's transition team, an unnamed source from the incoming US administration. The source was talking about Trump's new envoy to West Asia, Steve Witkoff. Witkoff was reportedly instrumental in getting the Gaza ceasefire deal signed. He flew down to Israel on Sabbath, a holy day for Jewish people, and demanded to see Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Witkoff reportedly pressured Netanyahu into meeting and then into accepting the ceasefire deal. Trump's envoy is now looking at the next steps. The source, the unnamed transition official, said, and I quote, "If we don't help the Gazans, if we don't make their life better, if we don't give them a sense of hope, there is going to be a rebellion." This means Gaza needs to be rebuilt. Unless some normalcy returns, the Palestinians in Gaza will eventually revolt. That is the fear. Taking us right back to where we started. How does one clean up all the debris? How does one clear the rubble that is Gaza today? Especially when millions of Palestinians are out and about, rummaging through their former homes. It will be difficult, to say the least. And that is why Trump's envoy is thinking about relocating them, temporarily moving Gazans to a third country, while the Gaza Strip is cleaned up and rebuilt. Now, one of the third countries being considered is apparently Indonesia. Indonesia is the world's most populous Muslim nation. It has staunchly supported the Palestinian cause, and it has pledged to support Gaza's reconstruction. Indonesia has showed unwavering support to the Palestinians, but they did not really sign up to take in thousands of people. Reacting to the relocation reports, Indonesia says it has, and I'm quoting, never heard about this plan. They had no idea they were even being considered as a host country, and their surprise is understandable. I mean, look at the map. Indonesia is all the way in Southeast Asia. Gaza is in West Asia, thousands of kilometers away. It is hard to imagine flying tens of thousands of Gazans to Indonesia. Sure, Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim majority nation, but that does not mean they're equipped to handle Palestinian people. Where do they set up a base? And what do they do about the language barrier? It's all quite ridiculous if you think about it. If relocating is really being considered, somewhere in West Asia would make the most sense, another Arabic-speaking nation, with the resources to host Palestinian people. But that is a potential minefield because West Asia has seen this play out time and again. The Arab countries surrounding Israel host millions of Palestinians already, people who were displaced during the Nakba in the 1940s. And with every Arab-Israel war since, these older Palestinian refugees have not been allowed to return. That is why people in Gaza don't want to leave now, even temporarily, because they fear they will never be allowed back. Relocation will be a hard sell, whether to a neighboring Arab nation or all the way to Indonesia. So Trump's envoy might have to reconsider his plan and find a different way to help rebuild Gaza.
Okay, any comments on that? Like you said, I believe that somebody got something. Somebody got something.
Yeah, I would only say that I don't trust them either. I wouldn't go either because I think if they try to relocate them, they don't find ever to bring them back. So I can understand where they're coming from, not wanting to go.
Exactly. Yeah, it's to me, it ain't nothing but a trap. Like the lady was saying, their objective is to get them out of there. They ain't trying to bring them back. They got other plans for the land. Okay,
Exactly.
that's something. So we got something else
Certainly
here.
is.
Okay.
Discovery shocks America.
States is facing a national emergency. And this has President Donald Trump ordering 1,500 U.S. troops to be deployed here on U.S. soil. Today, I'm going to break down where these U.S. troops are going, why Donald Trump has a national emergency, and what this means for the American people moving forward. I guarantee you, this is going to impact every single one of us. So, I'll break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So when you hear the term national emergency, that has many people panicking. What is going on? How is this going to impact me and my family? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of this right now. Because yes, President Donald Trump has now ordered the Pentagon to send 1,500 U.S. troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. Look at this. It says, declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. Donald Trump did that just 2 days ago. The first day in office, he declared the situation at the U.S. southern border a national emergency. Well, look what's happening today. The Pentagon is going to send up to 1,500 active duty troops to help secure the U.S.-Mexico border, according to officials. But why? Well, it has a little bit to do with this right here. Donald Trump designated drug cartels as terrorists. That right there is not something that Donald Trump did back in 2019. He actually went the opposite direction. Many presidents have thought about designating cartel members as terrorists and designating them as a terrorist group. But it's what happens after that. This has Mexico extremely concerned and wants President Donald Trump to walk back that statement. But it's highly unlikely. Look at this right here. You need to see this, okay? Because right now, many people are concerned that if we send 1,500 troops to the U.S.-Mexico border it's going to cause a war at the border, a very regional, localized war. Tensions are going to go sky high. We're going to see, issues. We're going to see fights, gunfights, knife fights, fist fights. We're going to see people lose their life because of this. Here's what you need to understand. What is happening right now is just increasing the presence at the border. Listen to this. According to the Texas Military Department, there are roughly 4,500 National Guardsmen at the border currently. There are also roughly 2,200 active duty forces at the border as well. However, they are just there to help U.S. Customs and Border Protection work. They perform mostly logistical and bureaucratic tasks like data entry, detection and monitoring, and vehicle maintenance. Okay, that's all they're doing. Now, I want to keep reading this to you, but first, look at this. This says troops are prohibited by law from doing law enforcement duties, but that may change. Trump has directed through executive order that the incoming Secretary of Defense and incoming Homeland Security Chief report back within 90 days if they think an 1807 law called the Insurrection Act should be invoked. That would allow these troops to be used as civilian law enforcement on U.S. soil. Now, here's the reason why this is a big deal. I want to show you this. It says, the cartels have engaged in a campaign of violence and terror throughout the Western Hemisphere. That has not only destabilized countries with significant importance for our national interests, but also flooded the United States with deadly drugs, violent criminals, and vicious gangs. Most recently, the biggest gang that has entered into the United States that is wreaking havoc on many cities like New York, and Chicago is the Tren de Aragua. Okay, it's a Venezuelan prison gang, again, that has come into the United States. They started out a couple of years ago doing very small crimes like stealing phones from people that were talking on their phone in New York City. They'd steal shopping bags from people that were just coming out of a store, walking down the street. And then they escalated it, and now, according to reports, it's gone as far as human trafficking. So again, a lot of issues here. But I want to read more of this to you, okay? The Pentagon is going to send 1,500 active duty troops to help secure the U.S.-Mexico border. An increased presence at the border will likely mean less trafficking, less smuggling, less people coming across the U.S. border illegally. Now, I want to read some of this to you. Look at this. It says, the additional active duty troops being sent to the border this week will be doing much of the same, the official said, and are expected to feed into and augment Joint Task Force North. Okay? Now, what is Joint Task Force North? Well, let's read a little bit of this. Look at this right here. It says right here, there are already roughly 2,200 active duty forces at the border as part of the Joint Task Force North. U.S. Northern Command's border mission based out of El Paso, Texas. They help support U.S. Customs and Border Protection's work there, performing, again, logistical and bureaucratic tasks like data entry, detection, and monitoring, and vehicle maintenance. Now, why are the new 1,500 being ordered to go to the border? Well, we don't know exactly what they're going to do. According to reports, they're just going to do some of the same thing. But again, we don't have, well, any official statement yet. Let's keep reading this. It says they will be helping to maintain operational readiness for Border Patrol, assisting in command and control centers, and providing more intelligence specialists to assess threats and migrant flows, according to sources familiar with the planning. Is did you know that?
Any comments on that? Anybody got any comments on that?
Yeah, Shalom mentioned. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
No. You go ahead. You're all right. Go.
The only comment they were saying, with this new activity there, they're gonna have up to 10,000 plus military personnel down there.
Okay, we're including the 1,500.
Yes, sir. The 1,500 with who was already there, and they estimating by the time they get through, it's supposed to be like 10,000 of them down there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm waiting to see that. That's gonna definitely start like he said, tension. Somebody else had something?
I just want to say, Mamba mentioned some time ago that I had this dream about Obama during Obama's administration that he was calling back a force which were called the Diamond Brigade, according to the dream that I had. When I looked it up online, there was such a brigade which it was being called back from Afghanistan at the time to be trained to be what they're talking about right now in that news report. I'm wondering if that's the very same troops that he had sent for that particular purpose. And in the end, like if you remember the dream, that there was these so-called fenced-in areas where people were dressed like they're dressed in the hospital with those long things. I don't know what you call them exactly, and that they had numbers on them, and they had no shoes on, and that they were only allowed to go out to work, and then they returned back at the end of the day, and everybody in there was white. I remember that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom. It may be just off what we're speaking on, but I just keep getting this feeling that the president wants to invoke martial law. And now, being that this area is in Texas, he could probably, because the Congress, he got Congress under him. So it just, to me, he's getting all these soldiers and everything, and then changing them, putting that law in that they can be citizen policemen at the same time. So it's, to me, that's what I'm feeling. It's going to happen. And I mentioned it a couple of times, and I continue to mention that because it's just a feeling I got that it's what he wants to do. And he did say it one year that he was in office about that martial law. He can pull it, but it's just, he's back on his trail again.
Right.
Being, and so he's gonna either come forth with the words he said, his promises, or he's changing his tactic, but he's still going to use what he said, and he's going to try to complete his little idea of what he feels a president should be. And he's looking at himself. When he mentioned about immigrants, his father and his family's father came from Europe. And so he may, in his mind, thinking that he can do things like they do over in Europe and just have, and like he said, there would be no more presidents. Wouldn't have to be voting anymore. So I don't know what he's doing, but little keys, little read between the line things are happening, and I can see things approaching that he's going to try to use Congress to go through all the things he wants to happen. Even Elon Musk is, I mean, he just became a citizen, I think, in 2000.
Okay.
He was in Canada in 1992. He became a citizen in 1992 in Canada. Then he came over to the university here in the United States, and then now he's a citizen of the United States. And I believe, like I said, in year 2000. So it's a lot going on, unnoticed. You got things in the front, but if you keep moving things back, like say peel the onion, you'll see a lot of things unfolding. But if you don't want to do that because of the smell that onion makes you cry, people just leave it alone. They just know it's existing, but they don't go further into it. And that's what they just want to place up for people just to acknowledge things, but don't go deeper into it. So they can say, well, you knew it was happening, but we don't know it's happening unless we really dig into it. And this move here with the military, in which we should always separate military from police officers, because they're doing their job way different than the police officers are doing. That's just my take on it.
Okay. They could end up to that. It could end up that way, especially with him invoking those cartels, because they could start, you know, violent acts all over the United States that could call for martial law. But yeah, I can see it going that way. It has the potential to go that way. Anybody else have anything? Okay, we got some need to know information right here. I thought this was pretty
Okay,
interesting.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream today. In yesterday's video, we covered the USA, all the things that has been happening, all of the executive orders under Donald Trump. Today, though, we're going to be focusing on quite the opposite. We're going to be looking at the UK, United Kingdom, and what is happening in the UK. It's almost unbelievable when I go through the numbers in a moment with you and tell you what is happening here. But I actually, even when I calculated this, I had to double check the numbers for myself, because I said this can't be right with the outflow at the moment in the UK. So let's go over some of them.
Notice they're not really talking about this.
So currently in the UK, we're not talking about immigration. We're talking today about emigration. So people leaving the UK. Is now one person, or 1.3 if you want specifically, 1.3 people or one person is now leaving the kingdom every minute. Or you could say 4 people are leaving every 3 minutes. Quite staggering, but wait till you get onto the wealth aspect and the millionaires that are leaving. And the reason we're going to talk about this is because I've been following a lot of people. I've been on X quite a lot today as well, reading all the comments. We got a lot to go through today, but a lot of people saying, well, good riddance to all these millionaires and good riddance to all this other stuff. I don't think, because it's not taught in schools anymore, that people realize what happens when these people leave the country and leave the country with their businesses. A lot of them have digital businesses. Or when a lot of them move their staff out of the country, the GDP per capita drops, etc. I was quite staggered at the fact that so many people didn't understand a lot of these principles. So we'll go through this in a moment. But in the year ending June of 2024, so just 7 months ago, approximately 479,000 people emigrated from the United Kingdom. So this was 1.3 people every single minute. The Labour government, which is the UK current government, if you're not from the UK, says that they don't actually see any issue with the number of Brits leaving due to increase. Sorry, let me say it again. That are leaving due to emigration, because they say the increase in immigration or migration, which, and I quote, more than makes up for the outflows. Now, again, from an economics point of view, this is not accurate, and I'll show you just how out of touch some of them are, and don't understand the economics of this.
Take a look at this strange device that I'm holding.
I'll show you that on a video. But one person leaving does not equal one person coming. If that were true, the GDP per capita would be the same for each country around the world, when it's not. You look at somewhere like Luxembourg, or even the Isle of Man, where I live. I know I'm not in the Isle of Man right now because it's winter, but you actually look at the GDP per capita of these countries, it's huge compared to other countries that are developing nations. The education is different, the culture is different, the mindset is different. So firstly, the Labour government need to understand this, that one for one isn't the same thing, which you would think would be obvious, but I guess not. Also, the departure of billionaires and millionaires from the UK in significant numbers could have some really, really serious economic implications. So I'm going to go through a little bit of that. And in fact, before I do that, let me just show you here. So this is just a really simple, this is Worldometer. You can use any one, GDP per capita United Kingdom, we've got this in US dollars here. Let's just take PPP, okay? This is very, very simple. $54,603. You look at the United States, $76,399. Now, I'm in Thailand right now. Let's have a look at, let's say, Thailand, what the GDP per capita is. Well, it's $20,000. So you can see right away that one doesn't equal another. What if, here we go, we've got this. What if someone came from the DR Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo? Well, the GDP per capita is 1,337. Niger, 1,500, etc. So you can see that one doesn't equal one. I think that's the first thing we've really got to establish, because the government seems to think that it does. So let's have a look at what's actually happening with all these people that are fleeing then. You're having a huge loss of tax revenue. I explained this to someone earlier and they said, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Show me the data. Show me the facts. I love it when people say that. So I want to show you what I had to show them. I had to show them the data, I had to show them the facts. And this is it here. So the top 1%, which is this purple box here, or let's look at the orange actually box. So the top 1%, this is their share of income, and then this is the share of the tax that they pay. So they pay almost 30% of all the tax revenue, personal tax revenue, that comes into the United Kingdom. So they are leaving, one every 45 minutes is leaving the UK. So this is going to go down dramatically. And the UK already doesn't have enough tax revenue. So they're going to lose a significant portion. But even more staggering is that if we look at the UK data on this, and we look at the top 50%, I've got it here somewhere, I'll have to pull it up afterwards, but the top 50%, I think pay, here it is, pay 90.5% of all income tax. And the bottom 50% pay just 9.5% of all income tax. So again, if you look at, it's very unequal at the moment. The people who are leaving are in this top 50%. So again, times more their GDP. So that's really saying something, that the exodus here is so significant. The second highest by a long shot. India's third on there, but that's really because of the talent. It's slightly different reasons. Now, this was an interview that was on.
Okay, so this what this guy is talking about. It just verified what we was talking about on several occasions, that they already predicted. And this is what I mean by Esau being he's a genius at this. They already predicted that most of the world was going to be over in Africa. And he's showing you right here how many people leaving. Where you think they're going? And then the same thing happening here. They just keeping they're keeping you busy with a whole bunch of other stuff going on with Trump and all that, but people leaving. They leaving all these places. And like he said, they leaving in record numbers, and they going straight to Africa. That's where they going. And that's the reason they already predicted that 90% of the world population will be over in Africa when it's all said and done. Okay, any comments on that?
I want to say that it's pretty obvious by now that there's no guesswork involved as to the extremity of what's going to happen, and the fact that they're moving at breakneck speed here, because they know that the dollar is going to collapse. There's nothing to hold it up, and this is why all this stuff is going on around, a distraction from the fact that we're really broke, and this is why we can't even help people in Hawaii. That all we paid out to date is like $800. So you could, what happens when somebody's back to the wall, they get desperate. That's basically what we see being played out here. This country's going crazy, attacking even its own partners. So the truth is right in front of us. We see it all happening. We have to be in prayer and decide what it is that we're going to do when the time really actually starts to get very close to home.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, I'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions, comments about anything they came across that they want to talk about, discuss?
Shalom. I was trying to get on. With these people who went over in trying to, go to Africa, would they have dual citizenship, or they're just denounce the United States and just get the citizenship there? Does it do the same thing as far as one just going over to Africa to live? They would have to give up their citizenship to United States, and do they go to that same process that United States has to get a citizenship, or they just automatically have one? Being that they're saying alarming group of people are trying to go over there and start a new life and taking their companies and things like that, it could be difficult. They don't know the language, and there's so many rules and regulations over there that depending where they go, it's going to be hard to just like grab some land and start taking over, because that's what they would have to do, because those products or those companies that they have, it may not have any use over there in Africa. So by this gentleman saying how so many are going over there, I really can't see that, that's happening like he's saying. But then again, they could be, but what purpose are they going to have if they don't know the language and their product is not useful to them over there?
I mean, a prime example is look what the Mexicans doing here. They don't know our language. Look how many of them here.
Yes, sir. And I was
Um,
looking at those Mexicans, and some of them come across as workers, and as they're deploying that, or they're putting out that the Mexicans coming and taking our jobs or whatever, they go back home to Mexico. They have more people that cross the border to work than they have as trying to be a citizen of the United States. Some of the Mexicans do not care about the United States, only to get their money, because it works worth more to take back home and do what they do there than to try to make a life here in the United States. So they're, again, I look at how the, I guess they would say, how the publicity goes, and to ram it up and say what's going on. The Mexicans are not really the ones over here doing those things. We have the ones from South America coming in, and they're opposing them as Mexicans because they're coming across the border. Most of them look alike, but they're not. And as I've been trying to do more research on those people that comes across through Mexico, and because they're coming through Mexico, Donald Trump has placed it. They're the cartels, they're this and they're that. But these other people are fleeing because they will be getting killed by those people. There's Mexico is not the only one who has gang members, cartels, drug, people. There's some in New York. So again, as we look at the news and look at different news, they're still exploiting these Mexicans as taking over, but they're more, like I said, more living in their country, just coming over here with work visas just to work.
okay, yeah. So the previous comment, when you're looking at the guy was talking about the GDP as far as the people that's leaving, and then he was talking about the amount of money that they're making. So the people that's leaving Great Britain and these other countries, he said, is the rich folks. So you can believe me, they got passports, they got the paperwork, they got all that. It's totally different than these Mexicans. These people are dirt poor. So like he was saying, you can't say you can't compare the people that's leaving Great Britain with the Mexican or even with the African, because these people that's leaving, these ones that's leaving here, they are wealthy. And believe me, like I said, 9 times out of 10, wherever they going, they already been to their country before, traveling, vacation, and all that because of their status. And that's major because you're saying that these people got wealth, but they don't want to reside in Great Britain no more. And wealthy people, millionaires leaving here. They millionaires, but they don't want to reside here no more. So that's a big difference, and it's actually telling you about what's going on with that country. That you got a person that's got their wealth and all that in the country, but no longer want to be in that country. So there's something going on with that. Me myself, I know a lot of it is prophecy, but it's a lot more going on with it too. Okay.
Shalom. Yes, sir. Because the people in Great Britain made those people rich, and the people that's leaving United States, they were became rich because of the people here in the United States made them rich, made them rich. So it's the wealthy people, I think, that maybe would understand dual citizenship and leave and not come back. But the ones that won't do it and just go over there, being that they're rich, uh, I'm sorry, but they're accustomed. Yes, they've been over there, but you know, sometimes it says, I would like to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. You know how that phrase is? Um, so I don't know. It just, some things just moving me to say things that just in my gut feeling that these people um, want people to think that the dollar is falling faster than it is, and to flee the United States and crowd, well, I wouldn't say crowd Africa, but there's certain parts now. And like you said, prophecy is going to make it come tuition, come forth. And maybe those people that's leaving Britain, the rich people, are fixing up areas where, like you said, the Russians and Chinese are making the place in Africa, just setting it up for the Israelites to get there, and then they no longer need it. It's just, everything is overwhelming to me. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments or questions about anything?
Shalom, sir. Yes, sir. I heard that the Torre, said that French prime minister owes them an apology. He said something that insulted them about colonialism, that they should be thankful that they were colonized by France.
Yeah, right. I saw that. I saw the video. I saw part of it. I didn't watch all of it, but yeah, I saw that. Well, yeah. There was and me myself, I think they make those comments intentionally to get a reaction from the African people, like what Trump did when he was calling the African country shitholes. They do that in order to get some kind of response from us. I mean, because all the countries over there in West Africa, they didn't booted them out. So why would you worry about what he's saying? Okay, but they looking for some kind of response or reaction, so they do these outrageous things to get a response from them. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Well, I just want to say I think I agree with you on that because I noticed I've watched him for quite some time, and I notice that sometimes he'll say something, he'll make comments, but he's saying it like in a facetious way. You know what I'm saying? Like you're right, you get a reaction from people to see where they're at. Any good orator would do that.
Exactly. Right. And that's something. Let me play this right here, and then we'll go into I'll start reading out the book of Joshua.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Oh, so Donald Trump, he made a lot of promises before he got in office, right? Now, the promises that he needs to keep, those are the ones he's not going to keep. But when it comes to destroying people's lives, ruining people's lives, and taking America back to a time where the ruling class can discriminate against so-called black people or people who don't have as much or people who don't look like the ruling class. He's taking America back to that point because we just saw yesterday where over 1,000, I believe 1,500 criminals who tried to overthrow the government. We saw where he just gave them a pardon, even though some of his so-called favorite people, police officers, lost their lives, right? He sent a message saying that, as long as you are for me, I don't care what you do. You can try to overthrow the government because you're helping me to do it, right? Anyway, I'm not trying to revisit that topic, but I want to concentrate on this here. Trump orders all DEI workers, should I say, to be put on leave. Now, remember, during his campaign, he was complaining and trying to get Black people to vote for him by saying that immigrants are taking Black jobs. Now, Trump, who's taking Black jobs? Is it the immigrants or is it you? Because you are now putting DEI workers on leave. Now, the vast majority of DEI workers are so-called Black folk. So who's actually taking Black jobs? And what exactly is a Black job? So all of you Black folk who voted for Trump, who thought he was going to make your life better, he's already starting to put your jobs on the chopping block while setting free criminals that look like him. Because after all, he is a convicted felon.
Exactly.
With 34 convictions. Isn't that something? But he's the president of the United States. So very clearly, America has shown us again who the man of sin is, right? And I'm not talking about Donald Trump by himself. I'm talking about a group. I'm talking about a system, right? Anyway, let's get into this topic right here. So it says the White House orders the government DEI employees to be put on leave. Employees in any federal diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility offices will be placed on paid administrative leave, effective immediately, according to a post from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Slashing jobs in federal DEI positions is one move in a series of actions taken by the new administration after Donald Trump promised to wage a war against such programs and take on the practice on day one, has already cut high-profile military personnel and ended the use of DEI in hiring and federal contracting. Some major companies have taken similar measures as they face pressure from conservative critics and customers. So what we see happening, y'all, in real time is that wicked, evil people who can't stand Black people, they are getting their way even more than they already were. They throw out a few threats and the whole country is buckling under the pressure and going back to the times where they believe America was great, where they can discriminate, do whatever they want to do, take your life, take your land, take whatever they want from you, and find themselves not guilty. But we are going to see how the Most High God of heaven, as the world calls him, we're going to see how he deals with this, right? This wickedness has to air out. People have to see it so they can understand and see and be able to process how incredibly wicked this country is. That's right. You're going to see it more and more. And this is going to show you and get you to understand why the Most High has to continue to pour out his judgment and wrath on this place. Because there is no repentance. They are not sorry for the wickedness that they have done to the Most High's people. Caregivers. Critics say DEI programs are discriminatory and attempt to solve racial discrimination by disadvantaging other groups, particularly white Americans. But who dominates most of the positions in this country? It's already white Americans. That's why DEI was created in the first place, because they were not giving jobs and opportunities to anybody else but white Americans. That's why it was created in the first place. But now they're saying, look, we want all of the jobs. We don't want y'all to have jack diddly squat. We don't want you to have anything. So we are going to end the programs that protected you and made it so you can get jobs too. We don't want you to have jack. So this is what we are doing. This is what this all boils down to, y'all.
Okay, any comments on that before we start reading?
Shalom. Yes. That's it's basically like from the airline safety to military, you know, and getting rid of that diversity, equality, inclusion. They're, I mean, us as Israelites, or he said she's saying with the blacks, the inventors, that all these ideas and things that we bring to the table and creating all these jobs and things that are now today, and you get rid of the workers don't really, they work off of what they love to get the ideas from the blacks and continue to keep one or two or three or four on because they need that their intelligence. They need their way of thinking to keep those jobs going. So you take them out, it's going to collapse, and they know it. So if he's doing this to do what? And again, like she said, what is a black job? We had a black president. Is that a black job? A black vice president? You know, what's considered as a black person's job? No one has answered that yet.
Okay, anybody else have any comments?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. It's not that they need us. They're trying to show us that they don't need us. So you got to go back to that Project 2025 that was put out,
Exactly.
right? So, you know, being close to a military base, right? So it's like, you know, when they have government contracts that come open, right? And they
Right.
say, okay, so many contracts we have to give to the minorities, right? And
Right.
then, you know, so many contracts to the pale face folks. So that's not happening anymore.
Exactly.
They don't have to give us anything anymore. They don't have to give us the small business loan for the black women and all that. They don't have to do any of that anymore. So that is what he is cutting out. They don't have to have so many people in the company that is black and so many that's white. You know, all of that is going to be done, you know, away with. They don't have to do training anymore to say how to treat us or respect our culture and all that. All of that is going away in the workforce. And like they said, they don't cut that out already on the federal government side.
Right, exactly.
So you
Right.
got to look at those jobs that got at the VA, those just basically the jobs through USA Jobs. Like it's no more of that diversity stuff that has been going on to try to you know, make us equal, which we know that we never were, even when that was in place. But they're, like they say, trying to get back to you know, the old time rules.
Right. They looking at the thing about it is they already see where we at. We at 100. We ain't going
Right.
back. They see they see what happened in Alabama on the docks. They see all this stuff happening. No, we ain't going back. So on a DL, he trying to say, like, for example, he see what's happening in West Africa, so they come out because he a dumbass. It's these Edomites that got him doing this. So they say we gonna cut all funding to all the nations. But no, you saying you cutting our funding to all nations, but it's because of Africa. You want to cut Africa off, stop funding them. Just like what you're doing right here. You want to say you couldn't you trying to balance the budget and all that and cut unnecessary stuff out, but everything you're doing is directed toward cutting off the advancement of black folks.
Right.
You doing it on the DL because, like I said, in the past, back in when Hoover and all them was around, they didn't care what you thought. But now they see that the environment has changed for us, and if there's no more respect for them, especially when you show your colors, you're gonna get issued a good whooping if you come the wrong way. So they trying to put this facade over what they doing. With everything they're doing, you can see is racist, and it's pointed toward us. It's no different than when they flooded all the country, when they flooded all them cities. They were showing, well, they got resorts and reservoirs that black cities up under them. They done flooded the whole city. City don't even exist no more. So that's what they're doing. And like I said before, they already know that what you see happening in Britain, what you see happening in these other countries, is happening here too. We don't no longer want to be around them. And it's gonna come a point in time where that's where everybody gonna be in Africa. There ain't nowhere else to go. Like I said, they're showing us in all the movies. You're gonna be in Africa. That's where they wanted to. That's their last ditch effort. Is the continent of Africa.
Right. So for him to come along and dismantle the EEOC, so you being a black person now, you can't call EEOC and make a complaint about anything racial because it's not going to be beneficial to you. So they don't look at us as Hebrew Israelites or Africans. We're all just black people to them.
Right. But like I was saying, the reactions. Go ahead. I mean, cut you. Go ahead.
No, so I was just saying that, like, we're not going to be able to use that and pull that Trump card anymore when it comes to being treated fairly at the job. So if you feel as though you were fired because of your skin color, then you're just going to be fired. You can't call and complain about that anymore and think the EEOC is going to be investigating.
Right. That's why he said it's all merit. It ain't that we colorblind now. Everything is done off merit, off what you're capable of doing, and what you've shown. It's no more color. It's everything colorblind now. But we know that's a lie. And so you can see that that's the direction that they're going in. And it's all because of what they witnessed, especially like over, just say, the last 25 years. We've had a black president, you had a black vice president, okay? And then I see all these strides that these black folks doing when it comes to the government and all that. That's what they came up with 2025. That's why this election right here was so adamant. That's why they're so adamant about it and put so much into it, because of this to stop. They use this administration right here to stop everything that they've been seeing going on over the last 25 years in their face.
Right.
Like I see, the black quarterback and Deion Sanders and all the things they're seeing, that how they blacks are taking over. So that's what this whole administration right here is about, to cut all that off. And even to the point, I believe that they've already made up in their mind, they don't even want us here no more. And they slide in a way, try to find some kind of way how to ease us out of here, but not with what we deserve before we leave. It's my interpretation of that. So anybody got any questions, any more questions? I mean, more comments or questions on that?
Well, I just want to say that I was a young man when affirmative action was passed. And I can clearly remember that getting a job before then was like virtually impossible. You know, I had to see my
Right.
father drink and get drunk all the time because, of course, during this time it was worse. So I just want to say I just can't see in any shape, form, or fashion that we will ever go back to that again.
Right. Exactly. Right. Right. You're right. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna go to our topic for discussion, which is I told you I was gonna be reading out of Joshua chapter 45 and 46 because it's tied to um the blessings that Abraham that Jacob that Isaac gave his two sons Jacob and Esau, but in this in Joshua it's a little more information involved in it. Okay, I'm gonna read that. I thought that was something that needed to be dealt with. So let me go there. Okay, let me get it. Okay, I'm gonna start in Joshua chapter 45. It says, and it was at that time in that year, which is the year that Joseph going down to Egypt after his brothers had sold him, that Reuben, the son of Jacob, went to Timnah and took unto him for a wife Erah, the daughter of Ava the Canaanite, and he came to her and okay, let me see, and he came to her. Let me see, yeah, and Erah, the wife of Reuben, conceived and Hadad, Pula, Chezim, Carmel, four sons, and Simeon, his brother, his sister took his sister Dana for a wife, and she bore to him Mimu, Yalamin, Ahad, Jachin, Zechar, five sons, and he afterwards came to Bula, the Canaanitish woman, and the same is uh, Buna, whom Simeon took captive from the city of Shechem, and Buna was before Dana and attended upon her, and Simeon came to her, and she bore unto him Saul. And Judah went out at that time to Adullam, and he came to a man, the man of Adullam, and his name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a man from Canaan, and her name was Aliyah, the daughter of Shu. And he took her and came to her, and Shua bore unto Judah Onan, and Shiloh, three sons. And Levi and Issachar went to the land of the east, and they took unto themselves for wives the daughters of Jobed, the son of Joktan, the son of Eber, and Jobed, the son of Joktan, had two daughters. The name of the elder was Adina, and the name of the younger was Arida. And Levi took Adina, and Issachar took Arida, and they came to the land of Canaan, and to their father's house. And Anah bore unto Levi Gershon, Kehath, and Mari, three sons. And Arida bore unto Issachar Tula, Puva, Job, and Shurim, four sons. And then went to the land of Moab and took for a wife Apeleth, the daughter of Chanaman, and he brought her to the land of Canaan. And okay, I read that. And Gad and Naphtali went to Aram and took from thence the daughters of Amram, son of Uz, and from the son of Nahor, 4 wives. And these are the names of the daughters of Aram. The name of the elder was Merma, and the name of the younger was Uzziah. And Naphtali took Merina, and Gad took Uzziah, and brought them to the land of Canaan, and to their father's house. And Merah bore unto Naphtali Yakazeel, Guna, Jazer, and Shulem, 4 sons. And Israel bore unto Gad Zephon, Chagi, Geshuna, Ezebon, Eri, Arada, Arli, 7 sons. Okay. And Asher went forth and took Ada, the daughter of Ophiel, son of Hadad, the son of Ishmael, for a wife, and he brought her to the land of Canaan. And Adan, the wife of Asher, died in those days. She had no offspring, and it was after the death of Ardan that Asher went to the other side of the river and took for a wife Hadarah, the daughter of Abimelech, the son of Eber, the son of Shem. And the young women was of a comely appearance, and the women of the same, and women of sense. And she had been the wife of Michael, the son of Elam, the son of Shem. And Hadra bore a daughter unto Michael, and he called her name Sirach. Okay. And Melech died after this, and Hadra went and remained in her father's house. And after the death of the wife at Asher, he went and took Hadra for a wife, and brought her unto the land of Canaan. And Sirach, her daughter, he also brought with him, and she was 3 years old, and the damsel was brought up in Jacob's house. And the damsel was of a comely appearance, and she went in the sanctified ways of the children of Jacob. She lacked nothing, and the Lord gave her wisdom and understanding. And Hadra, the wife of Asher, conceived and bore unto him Himenah, Jezebel, Bera, 4 sons. And Zebulun went to Midian and took for a wife Mishah, the daughter of Molad, son of Abid, son of Midian, and brought her unto the land of Canaan. And Jacob sent to Abram, the son of Zebah, the son of Terah, and he took for his son Benjamin, Micah, the daughter of Abram, and she came to the land of Canaan, to the house of Jacob. And Benjamin was 10 years old when he took Micah was 10 years old when he took Micah, the daughter of Abram, for a wife. And Micah conceived and bore unto Benjamin Bela, Becher, Ashabad, Gera, and Nahum, 5 sons. And Benjamin went afterwards and took a wife, Arabah, the daughter of Shimon, the son of Abraham, in addition to his first wife. And he was 18 years old, and Arabah bore unto Benjamin Akab, Vash, Mupin, Cuppin, okay, so there's all 5 sons. And these days, Judah went to the house of Shem and took Tamar, the daughter of Elam, son of Shem, for a wife for his firstborn Er. Er came to his wife Tamar, and she became his wife. And when he came to her, he outwardly destroyed his seed, and his works were evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And it was after the death of Judah firstborn, that Judah said unto Onan, go to thy brother's wife and marry her as next of kin, and raise up a seed for thy brother. And Onan took Tamar for a wife, and he came to her, and Onan also did like unto the works of his brother. and his works were evil in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him also. And when Onan died, Judah said unto Tamar, remain in thy father's house until my son Shiloh shall have grown up. And Judah did no more delight in Tamar to give her unto Shiloh, for he said, peradventure he will also die like his brother. And Tamar rose up and went and remained in her father's house. Tamar was in her father's house for some time, and at the revolution of the year, Aliah, the wife of Judah, died, and Judah was comforted for his wife. And after the death of Aliah, Judah went up with his friend Hira to Timnah to shear their sheep, right? Okay. And Tamar heard that Judah had gone up and to Timnah to shear his sheep, and that Shiloh was grown up, and Judah went not to, and Judah did not delight in her. And Tamar rose up and put off the garments of her widowhood, and she put on a veil upon her, and she entirely covered herself, and she went and sat in the public thoroughfare, which is upon the road to Timnah. And Judah passed and saw her and took her and came to her, and she conceived by him. And at that time of being delivered, behold, there were twins in her womb, and he called the name of the first Perez, and the name of the second he called Zara, right? So I read this before, but I'm reading it again because notice in verse at the same time that this is going on, the scriptures tell us in chapter 46, it says, in those days, see that? So what days? You go back to 45, and it was at that time in that year, which was in the year of Joseph going down into Egypt after his brothers had sold him. So this when this happened, or in the days when Joseph was down in Egypt. So it says in the days Joseph was still confined in a prison house in the land of Egypt. At that time, the attendants of Pharaoh were standing before him, and the shepherd, the butler, and the chief baker, which belonged to the king of Egypt. And the butler took wine and placed it before the king to drink, and the baker placed bread before the king to eat. And the king drank the wine and ate the bread, he and his servants and ministers that ate at the king's table. And while they were eating and drinking, the butler and the baker remained there, and the Pharaoh ministers found many flies in the wine, which the butler had brought, and stones of nature were found in the baker's bread. And the captain of the guard placed Joseph as attendant on the Pharaoh's office on the Pharaoh's offices, and the Pharaoh officers were in confinement 1 year. And at the end of the year, they both dreamed dreams in 1 year, in one night, in the place of confinement where they were. And in the morning, Joseph came to them to attend upon them as usual, and he saw them, and behold, their countenances were dejected and sad. Joseph asked them, why are your countenances sad and dejected this day? And they said unto him, we dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. And Joseph said unto them, relate, I pray you, your dreams unto me, and God shall give you an answer of peace as you desire. And the butler related his dream unto Joseph, and he said, I saw in my dream, and behold, a large vine was before me, and upon the vine I saw 3 branches, and the vine speedily blossomed and reached a great height, and its clusters were ripened and became grapes. And I took the grapes, pressed them in a cup, and placed them in the Pharaoh's hand, and he drank. And Joseph said unto him, the 3 branches that were upon the vine are 3 days. Yet within 3 days the king will order thee to be brought, and he will restore thee to thy office, and thou shalt give the king his wine to drink as at first, when thou was his butler. But let me find favor in thy sight, that thou should remember me to the Pharaoh when it will be well with thee, and do kindness unto me, and get me brought forth from this prison. For I was stolen away from the land of Canaan, and I was sold for a slave in this place. And also that which was told thee concerning my master's wife is false, for they placed me in the dungeon for naught. And the butler answered Joseph, saying, if the king deal well with me as at first, as thou hast interpreted to me, I will do all that thou desirest, and get thee brought up out of this dungeon. And the baker, seeing that Joseph had accurately interpreted the butler's dream, also approached and related the whole of his dream to Joseph. And he said unto him, in my dream I saw, and behold, there were white baskets upon my head. And I looked, and behold, these were in the uppermost baskets. He said, there were in the uppermost baskets all manner of baked meats for the Pharaoh, and behold, the birds were eating them from off my head. And Joseph said unto him, the 3 baskets which thou didst see are 3 days, yet within 3 days the Pharaoh will take off thy head and hang thee upon a tree, and the birds will eat thy flesh from off of thee, as thou sawest in the dream. In those days the queen was about to be delivered, and upon that day she bore a son unto the king of Egypt. And they proclaimed that the king had gotten his firstborn son, and all the people of Egypt, together with the officers and the servants of Pharaoh, rejoiced greatly. And upon the 3rd day of his birth, the Pharaoh made a feast for his officers and his servants, for the host of the land of Zor and the land of Egypt. And all the people of Egypt and the servants of the Pharaoh came to eat and drink with the king at the feast of his sons, and to rejoice at the king's rejoicing. And all the officers of the king and his servants were rejoicing at the time for 8 days at the feast. And they made merry with all sorts of musical instruments, with timbrels, with dance in the king's house for 8 days. And the butler to whom Joseph had interpreted his dream forgot Joseph, and he did not mention him to the king as he had promised, for this thing was from the Lord, in order to punish Joseph because he had interpreted, because he had trusted in man. And Joseph remained after this in the prison house 2 years until he had completed 12 years. Right? So I had read this before, but anyway, we see, I ain't really talked about this before, but if you go to verses, let me get it, 16, it says, upon the 3rd day of his birth, Pharaoh made a feast for his officers and his servants, for the host of the land of Zor and of the land of Egypt. So anybody know where the land of Zor is? Zor. You ever heard of that?
Right.
What's that?
You said the land of Zor, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you're asking where is it, like in
yeah.
this day and age, the physical location?
Yeah. What is it? I mean, what is it? Because like I said, I just read 45 and 46, and then all of a sudden out of in 46 and 16 in Jasher, he says, upon the 3rd day of his birth, Pharaoh his son birth, made a feast for his officers and his servants, for the host of the land of Zor and of the land of Egypt. So we know about the land of Egypt, but what is the land of Zoar? Go to
Right.
I think it's Ezekiel chapter 19. I'm thinking that's it. Let me get it. Yeah, because I'm going here because I remember back in the day, I didn't have no idea what was going on until it was light was shining on it for me. But let me get it. I'm thinking it was in let me see. Okay. Yeah, I'm in chapter 30 of Ezekiel. So we say the fall of Egypt, right? I start reading. The word of the Lord came again unto me. It's in Ezekiel, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus God, howl ye, woe, woe, worth the day, for the day is near, even the day of the Lord is near, a cloudy day, and it shall be a time of the heathen. So I told you, they got us thinking that the day of the Lord is, one time, what we waiting on. But every time he comes to a nation or a country for their sins, that's the day of the Lord or the day of visitations. So what we reading right here, he's visiting Egypt. Okay, so it says, "For the sword shall come upon Egypt." Right? See that? It's judgment. That's the day of the Lord. And great pain shall be in Ethiopia when the slain shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away her multitude, and her foundation shall be broken down. Ethiopia and Libya and all the mingled people, Chud and the men of the land that is in league shall fall with them by the sword. Thus says the Lord, that they also that uphold Egypt, check it out. They also that uphold Egypt shall fall. See that? So somebody, we know the greatness of Egypt, but it's somebody upholding Egypt, right? Thou shalt uphold Egypt shall fall. People that uphold Egypt shall fall. And the
Hold on, hold
pride,
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait, Leonard. So that's the question. Who
right,
uphold? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we look at them, the question is what you just read: uphold Egypt.
right,
You see,
right,
like, ain't nobody gonna immediately understand that what you're saying. You
exactly,
know?
right. So it says, and the pride of her power. See that? So whoever it is upholding Egypt, the pride of her power shall come down from the tower of Sinai shall they fall in it by the sword, says the Lord God, and they shall be desolate in the midst of the country. This is when Egypt lost its greatness, right? We'll say, they shall be desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and her cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are wasted. And they shall know that I am the Lord when I have set a fire in Egypt, and when all her helpers shall be destroyed. In that day shall messengers go forth from me in ships to make the careless Ethiopians afraid, and great pain shall come upon them as in the day of Egypt. For lo, it cometh. Thus says the Lord God, I will also make the multitude of Egypt to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. See that? King of Babylon, right? He and his ship and his people are with the terrible of the nations shall be brought to destroy the land, and they shall draw near, draw their swords against Egypt and fill the land with slain. And I will make the rivers dry, and sell the land into the hands of the wicked. And I will make the land waste, and all that is therein by the hand of strangers. And I, the Lord, have spoken it. Thus says the Lord God, I will also destroy the idols, and the will will cause their images to cease out of new. Here you go, out of new, and there shall be no more prince. See that, these giants, the prince of the land of Egypt, and I will put a fear in the land of Egypt, and I will make Patros desolate, and I will set a fire in Zoan. So right here, new. When you go back and look at these cities, new and Zoan, and I will execute judgment in No, and I will pour my fury upon sin, the strength. Here you go, the strength of Egypt, and I will cut
Mm.
off to No, and I will set fire into Egypt. So this is where all
One,
the giants is. These are the princes of Egypt. Right here,
one,
that's what Zoad. So it says,
one,
and I
one
will
more,
set fire in Egypt.
one more question, Leonard. I know you in that spirit.
Right.
I know you in it. But come back. So,
Okay.
what is the understanding for these people to understand how this shit is working? So, you're hitting them with something, right?
Right.
You're hitting them with something that's profound. Because, the majority of people that will go and pay attention to what the Passover is,
Right.
right,
Right.
is so typical. It's very, right, typical. So that's what I'm saying. You're saying, like, when Moses was doing what he was doing, the God that was causing Moses to speak how he was speaking, it was based off of something that the traditional Christian would never understand. So that's what I'm saying. Just repeat it once again now with the people who are thinking they're like, oh, okay, I understand. No, you don't understand what was really taking place.
Right. These they was trusting in giants. That's what Egypt was trusting in. That's what Egypt was built off of. It's giants in the land of Egypt. They always talking about the land of Canaan, but the strength of Egypt was these giants that was in the land of
See,
Egypt. They dwelled in
right.
sin.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I mean. Even even so, you're saying that's what I'm saying. Like you done expounded multiple times.
Right.
Canaan,
Right.
Canaan. That's what everybody is constantly focused on. Is Canaan, right?
Right.
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 Well, what
Exactly.
is Canaan? What is Canaan?
Right. Land of giants.
No, no. That Canaan is the land that was actually
Yes,
uh
Shem's land.
Shem.
Right.
It was actually Shem's land, right?
Right.
So now let's them scriptures that you just read. I want us to hold them. Let's deal with them, right? Let's
Okay.
keep them, right? Let's hold them because I'm gonna need you to go back over them shits one more again because them shits is crazy. But what I'm saying is now let's deal with folk that don't really understand that this thing called Canaan was actually the land that belonged to Shem.
Right.
All right. So if we're dealing with a land that was stolen and it was renamed, Canaan. So for the majority of people, if they are scriptorial based people and they're reading, right, they're reading what they think they what they thought took place with Noah, because they thought Noah's nakedness was that foolishness,
Right.
and the curse was now put upon Canaan, right?
Right.
They'll never have a real understanding as to what was taking place. So that's why I'm saying, I say this from time to time again, like, yo, we advanced over here. So if you was to say, all right, I understand the whole Canaan concept, and realizing that there's a separation between Canaan, Japhet, and Ham. That's a big thing that a lot of people don't really understand. So when you put all of this together, they're immediately looking at it as, oh, this is Ham's son, and there goes Canaan, and that's where the curse was, and things of that nature. No, that's not how this really is. It's not. It's, you know.
Right.
So I'm hearing you. So I'm listening to you break all of this down, but the layman, that's the best example I could give, is the layman understanding is, or the Christian understanding based off how they read this book, because that's what really is, who's listening to what we're saying today, is the Christian. So that understanding, no, it's not how. So, when you're breaking this shit down, it's the Christian that's like, huh? How how does that make sense? They ain't getting this. They're
Right.
not understanding that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Who?
It's a reason for that. It's a draw. You know what I'm saying? It's a draw. Because they're gonna say, what are you talking about? So
Mm,
if you got a zeal for the most high, like I was talking about yesterday, then you're gonna search that out. And then it's already other places we got 1,000 or so videos, other places that you can go and you'll get the breakdown on. But
right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm shining a light
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
fact
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to draw them in. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying because
Yeah, that's
Canaan,
what I'm
Canaan
saying.
is
Like,
not all Ham's son. And that's
right. And that's
right,
that's the foundation. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, they listen to us, bro.
right.
I'm telling you. But
That's
they're not understanding the foundation
right,
of where it's coming from. And that's what I'm stressing, is
right,
the foundation. So, you stay giving them the information.
right,
You know what I'm saying? That's why we always end up, you know what I'm saying? Because it's the foundation, the understanding that the foundation is is simple. Nobody is understanding the fact that what we're saying to them is Shem, Ham, and Japhet, right,
right,
are not brothers.
right.
That's the foundation of what we're saying.
Exactly.
They're not brothers, right?
Right,
So when you understand that Shem is the son of Noah,
right,
not Ham and Japhet, then this shit will make sense.
Right, exactly. Right. And Canaan is Canaan. Like I said, you assuming that, I mean, so many people don't even believe in giants, but if you do believe in giants, you narrowing it down to the land of Canaan, not understanding that from the river of Egypt all the way to the land of Canaan is giants.
Mm-hmm.
That's the land of
Right.
giants. So
Right.
that's the reason they put in there when Pharaoh had his son, that he went from he rejoiced, and he had the host from Zor and
Mm-hmm.
from Egypt, because Zor is the
So,
heart of Egypt. But
right. There you
giants,
go.
right? And so
That's what I'm
people read
saying.
over this, right? People read over that,
Right. That's the foundation that a lot of us, need to have, is the understanding of, you know, in order for yeah, sir. Yeah, in order for them to move forward with that understanding, like you have to, have that, and the due diligence. All number one has to be that what we've all been, bamboozled and blinded on, according to the King James and all of this biblical shit that we've been taught, is that Shem, Ham, and Japheth are brothers.
right?
So that is the biggest misconception. That is the biggest misconception that causes the biggest problems.
Right,
It's the terminology. So that right there is something that a lot of people need to understand from day one, is according to your understanding. And that's why the book of Joshua is so important, that a lot of folks, they say that's not a part of our canon. So, but yet it's so informative. If you read it, then you'll gain a broader understanding of what
right,
is really taking place. So, like, I'm listening, like it's difficult for me to listen to what you breaking down. You know what I mean? Knowing what I know, knowing that the majority of the folks that are listening is like, how, you know what I mean? How do I make it make sense? Well, like I always stress, you got to go to the foundation, like Prophets of Awakening has, you know what I mean? These foundational points, man. But, it's not some simple shit. This ain't Christian. It's not easy. You could listen and say, yo, that's crazy, that's deep. But even though while you're doing that, you're gonna have your own, you know, perception as to what you think it is. But if you was to listen, you know, or read it for yourself, then you'll see that, what he's saying, or what Leonard is breaking down, is crazy, man. It's the most profound shit that you know you'll ever gain to understand what thus saith the Lord actually is. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's very cool to just sit here and listen, but look, man, that shit crazy. You know, that's how I when I sat there and listened and really put two and two together, Leonard, I was like, damn, that shit crazy. You know.
exactly, right, right. Yeah, they gotta. Well, it's just that conversation right there. Those two chapters, you can't actually uh, go over that in one class. That's why you see me coming back over stuff, because of that's one That's one part of it that you got to absorb. The part where in 45, that's not in the King James.
Right.
See what I'm saying? And it's so when you look at 46, those 45 and 46 was happening simultaneously. Why when Joseph was dropped off
Right.
in the when Joseph was dropped off in that well, and then from that time on to when he was in Potiphar's house and in prison, all that was going on in 45. Them boys was going to get wives and all that. So and then we pick it back up when they come to the King James pick it up when Joseph send them the famine come and Joseph send them
Right.
to Egypt. And 45 is giving you those 70 souls that went into Egypt. 45 is giving them to you how they came about. And it's not in the King James.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You know,
So many angles you have to come back. So that's why you have to read it one time and you give them one angle, then you come back again and from another angle to bring it all, you know what I'm saying? Put it all together.
yeah, but without them books that they say don't make no sense,
Right.
then you know what I mean. If they're not involved, then you ain't gonna know how to have a question. That's all I'm saying. You know,
Oh, yes.
and
Right. I see what you're
so
saying.
you know what I mean. It's we can sit here, you know, all day and front like we could use the quote unquote canon, but nah, we really can't. That's been my situation, you know, for the longest. Like, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? It's awesome for the people that's here, you know, and you know, getting the understanding. But man, like, you know, I don't want to say we doing a disservice, but yo, y'all need to really invest in this understanding of what's outside of, you know, the canon. And I'm like, I don't want my bro to be, you know, stay beating them in the head with some canon shit. Like, man, this shit's so crazy
Right.
when you really understand it and then look at what's going on with us today. You know,
Right.
that's all.
Right. Yeah. I'm like I was saying, it's actually it's like an unorthodox way from um when I first came into this dealing with people and they wasn't getting it. So I referenced the Lord of Hosts and I always had the ability to nigger rig stuff. So I said what I do. First of all, you know, when you're painting something, you got to put a base coat down first. Then you got to come back and put another coat. Then you come back and put the seal, the last coat. So
Right.
that's what I do. I go back over all those things, and then at the same time, the so-called knowledgeable people, when they hear something that they don't say it sound right, ask a question. That's when you're gonna get. That's when you're gonna get the meat, and everybody else gonna get it. But so that's why I stressed on asking questions. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
So that's what I'm saying. You know me, man.
We have an archive too.
But you know, that's me. It's like, what the fuck, man? Where the questions at? You know,
Right, right,
I don't play that shit. I'ma sit there and I'ma observe and watch anybody who is there. You
exactly.
know, and sometimes the shit, you know, I'm talking personal. It fucks me up because everybody has a comment, but it's very few that has a question, man.
Right,
You know, and
exactly.
so that's where I be at because I came into this shit with nothing but questions.
Right,
But now I don't care your age, gender, whatever.
right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yo, where your questions? Where your questions at? Let me know you. You
Exactly.
know, where your question is at, yo. This shit crazy. And even me, who I don't know how prophets of awakening view me, but when the shit hit the fan, yo, I'm gonna have a question. I still
Right.
got questions to Leonard. You know, to
Right.
anybody here, not just Leonard, to the young, to the youth, to the elders. I'm gonna ask you a question. You
Right.
know,
Oh yeah.
If
It's all good.
we ain't gonna learn, you know, if we ain't asking. You
Right.
know, that's just how I see it. But
Oh,
I'm
and
hearing
interjections work too. Like I mean, you know what I'm saying? What's happening right now? To interject
mhm,
because you don't know.
yeah,
It's what I found out is like we was talking about the other night. I was talking about the other night when the scripture says the word of the Lord, the word of the Lord came unto Ezekiel, right? So what do that
right.
mean? So Yahweh talking, Yahweh talking.
Yo,
He sent an angel. He sent an angel to Ezekiel. So the angel, it kills what they tell you in John, but the angel, Yahweh gave this angel a word for Ezekiel, and he
right.
received it from him and brought it to Ezekiel. You know what I'm saying? So,
Play it,
so
let it don't play.
same thing
Right.
I'm saying still to people, giving it to people is you know, the word of the Lord is coming to you, you
It's
know.
a question
Right, exactly.
for you people who ain't understanding. Like the word of the Lord came to this prophet, nigga. That's
Right,
for us to question.
right.
Anyway, I'm sorry, man.
No. It's all good. It's all good. Like I said, it's interjections. Interjections is just as good as questions because
But
again,
that's what an interjection is, though.
right, exactly. It's also, I mean, you know, like I said, if something being said, a certain topic being talked about, and then you want to add something to that or whatever, then that's just as good as somebody asking a question because you know what I'm saying. You never know who's listening or
Right.
who's trying to understand. So
Right.
it's not always about, you know, it's not always about the nut bucket because you got people
Nah,
that
I'm gonna say the truth. That's the problem that always bothers me is people who would, you know, have interjections as if they already understand. It's like, how can you when we're all trying to understand?
exactly
You know what I mean? So,
right,
what do you think the word of the Lord comes to somebody for? He gave
right,
it to someone, and it ain't for all of us to understand. So,
right.
I'm gonna ask the hard ass questions. You know what I mean to that
Yeah,
person, and
it's
and
all
that's what this shit is really based upon. If you're trying to actually gain wisdom and knowledge and understanding, you know that's the truth. Like I remember I watched the movie and it was, you know what I'm saying, some people who supposedly, you know, they were in the Stone Age and you know, some people came with some futuristic shit and you know, somebody asked the question and they was like, yo, it's, you know, hyper something. But everybody else behaved as if they was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. But the truth of the matter is, y'all ain't have a clue what the fuck none of that was, you
right,
know? But in order for y'all to make yourselves feel some type of way, y'all was like, oh, okay, we know. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know nothing.
right,
Y'all don't have a clue about
exactly.
none of it, you know? So a lot of times that's what I'm saying. Like, man, that's why I always was stressed to you, like, yo, you know, I ask you, just read the scriptures time and time again. And I don't give a shit about, you know, the politics of anything. But yo, man, there's so much in this book that we could be questioning one another on to find our understanding about what is written
Right,
versus giving a shit about what Trump and all of these goofies is doing, man. You know,
Right.
that's you know, that ain't for here, but you know what I mean? I ain't you know what I mean? But that's just
Right.
what I always say, like, fuck, if you ain't understanding what we really talking about here on these scriptures, then why should I talk about what Esau and all the motherfuckers is doing? Like, what's the purpose? You know, that's all I'm saying, man. There's so much in this book, whether
Yeah,
inside
right.
or out or things of that nature, that we need to be questioning and testing one another on before
Right.
we give a fuck about what all the mother folk is talking about,
Oh yeah, yeah. I tell everybody that I'm dealing with about how the fact that I know I got an unnatural zeal. I got an unnatural zeal, 24/7. I mean, I get up in the middle of the night. I get a dot, get connected, and I go to the scriptures to see if the dot that was just connected is it actually in the scriptures. And I go there and I do that. Okay, but even with that unnatural zeal, it get to a point where you get burnt out. So
Yeah,
that's when I constructed the angles I'm coming at.
that's what I'm saying.
Not all
You going
scripture,
you going
all scripture
you
related.
going to get fucking look. You going to get burnt out.
Right. So that's why I
Why?
do it.
Because you ain't dealing with other brothers and sisters that's on that page. So therefore now you questioning the goofy ass antics and shit. So that these other folks is, we are governed by foolish ass people. So
Right.
if we ain't always staying where the fuck we need to be, and that's what I'm saying. I said this shit time and time again, man. I ain't with this social shit no more. I much rather you go back to the fucking coal line, man, where what I mean, we
Right.
all just talking on that level, and instead of this social shit, man. This social media shit, man. That shit ain't us, man.
Right. Well, like I said, when it comes to that approach, I mean, you can have one night. I mean, maybe like you can do it, and then people can come there and we can deal with it on that one night. But right here, I'm just trying to get people to get them around it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if you 24/7 scripture, you can get burnt out on it. And I got an unnatural zeal, but I got to do something else. So I'm coming from this
Well,
approach.
you my elder, so you tell me what the fuck to do.
Okay, yeah, we'll call me. Then we'll
All
do it
right.
like a we got that what's that other line we have? We can do it like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So based off what we just said, anybody got any comments on that? No comment? Yourself, you ain't got no comments? Okay. So yeah, so like I said, I read that verses chapter 45 and 46 a couple of weeks, about a week or so ago, but I came back to read it because I was looking at it, looking at my notes and stuff, and I saw where there was some things in there that could be expounded on. So while we were still fresh, I came back and went and reiterated to show you the fact that, for example, everybody know about, well, they don't even really know that, but David had 37 giants with him. Because, like I said, just we looking at the same thing play out now. People just like they killed Martin Luther King, they killed all these black men. They constantly killing them. They trying to kill my man over there now in West Africa. They all through the Psalms, David is telling you that you keep praying because they constantly coming at him trying to kill him. But a lot of people don't know that David had 37 giants with him. Lord of hosts had 37 giants surrounding David. But that's not where they came from. You got to go all the way back before the flood with Canaan and Enos. That's who they was dealing with. And Enoch and Abraham, when Abraham went to when those giants came and took Lot, it said Abraham took 200 men with him to go to rescue Lot and his and all his possessions. Those were 200 giants. And so when you go to Genesis 18, right? You go to Genesis 18, and these three angels came to Abraham. He said Abraham was in the plains of Mamre, at the oak of Mamre. So who is Mamre? He's a giant. Let's look at that right quick before I close out. So Abraham was dwelling in his land where his giant was at. That's where he was dwelling at. And not only was that, Abraham had sway over him. Seemed like it would be the other way around, that the giant would have sway over Abraham, but Abraham had sway over him because of the Lord of hosts. So let's look at it right quick. Go to Genesis 14, I think it is. If you go to Genesis 14, okay. Okay, here you go. Genesis 14 says, Abraham, I'm in 14 and 13. Abraham rescues Lot, right? So I'm in Genesis 13, chapter 14, verse 13. And there came one that had escaped. See that? There came one that had escaped and told Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite. See that? So the giant is Mamre. He's an Amorite, which take you to Genesis 15, when the Most High said the time of the Amorites not filled. But this where Abraham is dwelling at is among these Amorites. So it says, in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Escal, brother of Anor, these were confederate with Abraham. All these right here that they just named the giants. So way before David came on the scene with those giants he got with him, Abraham had them with him. Matter of fact, when Abraham sent to go get Rebecca, he was from that lineage. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And they took away the book of Enoch because of that, because they don't want you to know all that information. So when they did what they did with the King James, they took those, they worded everything in a way where you don't see that those are giants, but they actually giants. Like I said before, that's how he protected David pretty much most of his life, because everybody was trying to kill him, but David had these giants around him that were subject to him. They were more powerful, more dangerous than David, but the Most High had a spirit on them. They were subject to David, just like these giants right here were subject to Abraham. Okay, and by them taking that understanding out of scriptures, even out of history, you can't. It's so much stuff that would be answered if you understood that it was giants, like the pyramids. So that whole area, like I was saying, the land of Canaan, Egypt, all that was awash with giants. They was all over the place. Okay, anybody have any comments or questions before we go? Everybody good?
Nah, if I'm gonna say something, bro, like yeah, that was broken down perfect.
Okay.
You know that I don't know how anybody couldn't understand that.
Right. Yeah. So everybody good. I see y'all. We got the women's line tomorrow night, 7 to 9. and then I'm gonna say shalom, everybody. And I see the women tomorrow. The men can come in through YouTube. Okay.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, shalom. Another shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.